Launching at Blackpool Pleasure Beach Resort in 2025 is Launchpad, the reimagining of an iconic, classic Blackpool Pleasure Beach attraction. But should we be excited, and what's the latest news? Let's take a look. So hello, I'm Scott, you're watching Your Experience Guide, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the latest news surrounding Launchpad at Blackpool Pleasure Beach Resort, including where Pleasure Beach are up to with it, when I think it might open, and if I think this will be a good reimagining of a classic attraction at the Pleasure Beach. Before I get started, if you do enjoy Pleasure Beach Resort content on this channel, please hit the like button, it's a little thumbs up below. Please subscribe, and of course, please comment to let me know what content you want to see from the Pleasure Beach in 2025. Before I get to the opinionated part of this video, let's take a look at where Pleasure Beach are up to and look at the official press release that was sent out a couple of days ago about the Launchpad project. The grand opening of Pleasure Beach Resort's reimagined Launchpad ride has moved a step closer as engineering reached a major milestone today. A 200-foot cylinder which travelled more than 1,000 miles across Europe before arriving at Pleasure Beach has been craned from height and installed in the centre of the ride. Once connected, the entire cylinder's weight is equal to a large African elephant, a military tank, a cruise ship's anchor, or the Big Ben bell. It has a pressure of 105 psi, which means that each square inch inside the cylinder is experiencing a force of 105 pounds. Carl Murphy, the Director of Engineering at Pleasure Beach, has explained, the higher the pressure, the greater the build-up of kinetic energy. By increasing the psi, we've increased the force, and therefore the acceleration of speed is greater, meaning riders will feel a huge difference and shoot to the sky with more power than ever before. Carl goes on to say, this new cylinder is what's going to create those stomach-dropping moments and feelings of weightlessness that guests are going to love. The press release also goes on to state that Launchpad has already received a complete aesthetic makeover, changing colour from white to vibrant blue and red, as well as receiving a new name, new branding, and a space exploration theme. The majority of the work has been carried out by Pleasure Beach Resort's in-house team made up of mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, painters and artists, a project manager, as well as the Director of Engineering. An engineer from S&S, the ride's manufacturer, also flew over from the USA to help oversee the cylinder installation. And lastly, from the press release, Amanda Thompson OBE, CEO of Pleasure Beach Resort, says about the project, we've previously spoken about this era being a period of evolution for us, with a focus on renewing our ride offering. While Launchpad is only the first chapter of a much longer story, it's exceptionally exciting to see this first milestone happening before our eyes. And finally, from the press release, an official opening date for Launchpad is still to be confirmed, but is expected to be early in the 2025 season. Moving on from the press release then, and onto my opinion about this whole situation, and I am looking forward to getting back on Launchpad. When I say getting back on it, of course it used to be Ice Blast, and before that it used to be PlayStation the Ride. I'm particularly excited to see if this ride is going to be anything like it was in its early years, because as PlayStation the Ride and in its early time as Ice Blast, it was a fantastic ride, a lot of force, a lot of airtime, and it was a lot better than what we saw in its last few years as Ice Blast at Pleasure Beach. Back in those late 90s, early 2000s, mid to late 2000s even, it was such a great ride, and I always had to do it on every visit to Pleasure Beach. One opinion I do have about the press release is the comments from Amanda Thompson OBE about how the park is in a stage of evolution and they're looking at renewing the ride lineup. That to me is interesting and also suggests that Launchpad is one of many projects to come over, say, the next 5 or 10 years. Now, what we all have to remember with Pleasure Beach is if they do remove a ride in, say, the end of a season, there's no guarantee that the next ride that's replacing it is going to come immediately the following season after it. So let's take Skyforce for instance. There's always rumours that this ride is going to get removed. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen. Pleasure Beach have not come out and said, oh, it's in its last season or anything like that. But for For the last 5 years, there's always rumours about Skyforce being removed or relocated or something or the other. So let's just take Skyforce in this instant. Let's say that it had been removed at the end of the 2024 season or got removed at, say, the end of the 2025 season. Just because that happens doesn't mean that a new ride is instantly going to take its place the following season, because a lot has to go on for that to happen. There has to be groundwork to take any remaining footers, foundations or anything for the removed ride out of the ground. Then they have to do ground testing on that land again before committing to putting another ride there. And then once all that's been done, they've then got to do the groundwork again for the new attraction that's coming to the park. Whether that would be the following year or 2 years down the line, these things take time. Let's take Bling, for example, here. Bling was removed at the start of 2012. So just before the 2012 season started, Bling was removed from where Skyforce currently is now. In that season, Bling was replaced with a Mexican high divers show. No new rides. In 2013 and 2014, nothing happened in that space until the end of 2014, when a new sign went up saying new ride coming for 2015. That new ride was Skyforce. It did not open until May 2015. So if Pleasure Beach do remove a ride or close a ride and have intention to replace it, reimagine it, unfortunately these things do not happen overnight, and sometimes decisions are not made until late in a year. Moving on, strictly back to Launchpad now, because I've gone completely off topic. I'm going to look at the subject of when do I think it will open at the Pleasure Beach. Well, I don't think it's going to open next week on opening weekend, because I feel like there's a lot of work to be done. Firstly, the scaffolding's got to come down, then there's got to be hours of testing, hours of training, preparing for the ride to be open. Usually, with a new ride or a reimagined ride at Pleasure Beach, you're usually looking at sometime around Easter or one of the May bank holidays. I think that's probably the most realistic time. Pleasure Beach do tend to open a lot of new stuff or reimagined stuff around May time. Hopefully it'll be open for Easter, but at this time, there's no official word about when it'll open. But of course, we do know that it is going to open in 2025, and in the media release, it did say in the early part of the 2025 season. From that, I think we can assume it's going to be sometime between Easter and the first May bank holiday weekend, which is typically around when the Blackpool season really starts to kick in and people start flocking there for Easter, the bank holidays that follow, and then of course the summer season and Illumination. So I think we're looking at sometime around Easter and no later than the first May bank holiday. But that is me purely speculating without any official information. One thing I keep seeing online is the question being asked, will Launchpad have theming? Well, it's a hard one to answer because of course right next to it is Valhalla, and then right next to it is also Derby Racer. So it is one ride in an area with different themes all around it, which is typical of Pleasure Beach. It is traditionally an amusement park. It doesn't have big themed areas, which you wouldn't expect in a traditional amusement park. I do think it will have some styling towards to fit in with the space theme, to fit in with a new name. I think it's going to have its own soundtrack. So I think that's going to be good. Whether it'll have like big, elaborate Disney style theming, I don't think so. I mean, come on, that's not going to happen. It doesn't happen anywhere in the UK. So that's not going to happen. But I do think it's going to be styled, fitting in with the new space theme Launchpad. And I think it's going to look really good in that area of the park. Of course, I'm looking forward to getting on Launchpad, but I'm also looking forward to hearing these noises at the Pleasure Beach again. I mean, how good did Ice Blast and PlayStation the Ride used to sound when the ride was at its best? It used to sound amazing from anywhere in the Pleasure Beach, so looking forward to hearing those noises again inside the park. That's all for now. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It's a little thumbs up below. Please comment and please subscribe to Your Experience Guide. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.